What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Daily Stack. Today's episode is one that's coming from the road. We've been doing lots of productions and things happening with Blind Lincoln Productions. So if you haven't been following me over on that channel, I've got a little bit more brewing over there. But I'm really excited to drop today's episode. I'm all over the place right now. I've got training spots in Opelika, Auburn, Prattville, Birmingham, Georgia, Atlanta, Decatur. We're all over the place. So today's episode is this part is video because I want to put it on YouTube because I'm trying to bring that channel back. So the Daily Stack on YouTube is back alive and becoming a channel. I got a couple things that are coming that direction. Here is the podcast, so there will be the audio portion plus some video stuff and some other series that are going to drop between the two channels. So lots cooking up, lots going on. I'm over on the Dream Show with Stephen Eakin. Let's see, today is Thursday, so tomorrow, March 5th, is when the Professional Grapplers Federation, I think is what they're calling it, yes. The Professional Grappling Federation is from the mind of Brandon Mccaghren. Funny enough, today's episode is with Brandon. I sat down and had a chat with him after training a couple days ago. So I've been doing a lot of loops up through the Great White North, as I'm going to be calling it, of Alabama. And so there was an opportunity to sit down and chat with him about his beginnings and what got him started and kind of where PGF came from. I'm going to have a couple guys on the show that I had the chance to get to know, like while I was hanging out with Steven there. So for those of you who do not know, the Professional Grapplers Federation is a really interesting thing that is airing tomorrow, Friday, March 5th. Already said it, but March 5th, they are dropping Season 2. And my homie, Stephen Eakin, is from Perry, Georgia, 10th Planet is his spot, and we went up there to Decatur. He competed. You have to watch to find out how he did. It was a really kind of a cool setup. So I'll let Brandon explain that to you. But yeah, so make sure you're following me on all the socials at the Daily Stack, at the _daily_stack on Instagram. I've got the Daily Stack on Facebook, and just kind of that's where I'm dropping my personal stuff, and then the projects like what I've been working on with Steven are over on Blind Lincoln. So I've got a couple other things that are going on there. So at Blind Lincoln on Instagram. So without any further ado, here's a awesome conversation with an awesome person. With some interesting perspectives on Jiu-Jitsu and competition and life in general. So, everyone, please welcome Brandon Mccaghren.
Is there a point to my act? I would say there is. We have a lot invested in this ride. Shut him off!
And welcome back to the Daily Stack. Today's episode is with Brandon Mccaghren. Is it Mccaghren? It's not spelled Mccaghren.
It's Mccaghren.
Mccaghren.
Indeed.
But it's spelled like real powerful.
I'm not real sure how it's spelled. I've been
the
spelling
origins
it different
of
ways for 40 years now.
Yeah? What's the most common?
I was just kidding.
What's the most common misspelling?
Most common misspelling?
Yeah.
People put a U in it for some reason. The most common mispronunciation is with a PH, Mccaghren.
Mccaghren.
But even the way that my family says it is not correct. It's Irish. It's Mccaghren. Mccaghren.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Well, we are here post-practice here in Decatur, Alabama. and sitting amongst your state-of-the-art studio. And I have come into your... I think I was telling somebody the other day, I think I might have come into contact with your... You started putting content out, what, like 5 years ago?
Yeah, I've had the website for almost 6 years now, so a little before that probably.
What got you started in your jiu-jitsu journey? As far as like what dove you off into the whole realm?
Into just training?
Yeah.
I was just overweight and I needed something to do. I was just a little chunk rock, and my wife was like, "Yo, I signed us up for jiu-jitsu. I really don't need you to die and leave me a widow for my last 20 years." So I signed us up.
How
for
overweight
class.
were you at that point?
I think 25.
Wow. 225? We're talking 225? Or
No, I
we
was
talking
25 years old. I was about 230 pounds.
230 pounds.
Yeah,
Wow.
228 is what I weighed at my heaviest.
Okay. So you started for fitness, and like when you started, was there a jiu-jitsu gym? Like she signed you up for jiu-jitsu. Like what kind of jiu-jitsu did you get signed up for?
There was no jiu-jitsu gym around. And we didn't understand the value of it, so we didn't know to drive to another town to look for it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we signed up at a place that had MMA classes. It was like a Tung Sudo school down the street called Webster's. Dope martial arts place, but not a Brazilian jiu-jitsu school. But they had MMA class on the weekend, and so that's what made us pick them. And then they rolled twice a week.
What year was this? Like when was this?
2006.
2006.
Yeah.
So this was like second wave of MMA.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't get in at the very beginning. Like the first one that I ever saw, I was a little kid.
Right.
Not a little kid, but like 12 or 13, something like that. And I saw UFC 6 recorded on VHS at my buddy Brian Smith's house. And we wasn't supposed to watch it, we thought. So we popped that bad boy in there, and I saw Tank Abbott knock John Matua into an actual seizure. And I said, you know what, this is for me.
So you were about it from then.
Yeah. I've been pretty well keeping up with it since then. But I never really had any interest in learning it other than just like, oh, look, this is one of the moves they do. Like the same way I would learn how to shoot a basketball. I wouldn't want to be a professional basketball player necessarily, you know.
What for you crossed that like bridge? Like what made like, and I mean, I don't even know, like, I don't know, you wouldn't consider yourself like you're a professional grappler, like, I mean, and you make your money grappling in
for
ways.
Sure. That's
like,
how I make all my money.
So like, where did it? You don't like start, like you said, you don't start throwing a football and decide I'm gonna be, you know, I'm trying to name a football player, but I've been out of football for so long I can't name one off the top of my head.
Well, I don't really know the answer to that question. Like jiu-jitsu's just been a bunch of different things for me over the years. Like in the beginning, it was just a way to get healthy, and it was something that me and Lindsay were doing together, and then that was the most important part of it. It's like we were just spending time together and we were just cutting up. Like she was my main training partner, you know. So I don't know, we just have a good time. So we're just over in the corner cutting up like a couple of little kids and having fun, and just it intrigued me. I didn't really think of it as a workout, I guess. I never really considered the fact too much, other than, okay, this is the purpose of signing up, but once I got in there, it never really felt like working out. Everything else feels like working out.
Right.
And I didn't want nothing to do with any of that. Weights are heavy. I don't want to pick those up. They're too heavy. Running, that makes me run. I'm not going to eat right. We've already established all these things.
Right.
So, but yeah, I always would play a game. I always would play ball or whatever. I always would compete and just try hard, you know.
So you were always a competitor, like kind of. Are you always a competitor that's like trying to win?
I've always loved to compete, yeah.
Are you trying to win? Are you like
at that
more
time?
about
I was definitely trying to win all the time. Yeah. I mean, now I've matured, and I guess I kind of understand my place in the great circle of life. But so I train jiu-jitsu for different reasons now, and that's changed a couple of times over the years. You know, kind of reinvent I don't know about reinvent myself, but reinvent my passion, reignite it, and find out that there's actually another aspect of it that's even more motivating. And so that's how I just am still obsessed, you know, this many years in.
What was the aspect that like got you to the point of like obsessed about it? Like,
well, I'm just the kind of dude who's going to obsess anyway.
Like you were already, okay.
Yeah. I was pretty well obsessed from like the first month. It's just the way I do things. Like I'm not very good at many things in my life, but the couple of things I'm good at, I've obsessed over for years and years. Like I make the long play usually.
Yeah, I get it.
And then if I get into something and I've quit 1,000 things, you know what I mean? Like I tell my kids there's a big difference between quitting and moving on and giving up. You can quit and move on anytime you want, but you can never give up. You know what I mean? But I've quit and moved on from a lot of things. But when I found something that made me want to give up, then I stayed with it.
So that's almost kind of what like...
Yeah, subconsciously. I don't know that was an intentional decision for the most part, but yeah, it's been a very hard thing to try to grasp mastery for.
Ooh, grasp mastery. That was so like how did when you're trying to are you actively trying to grasp mastery, to like quote that?
Yeah, for sure.
Like that's something that you're pursuing and you're trying to do, like say currently?
100%. This is the way.
So with as you were making your way into jiu-jitsu and kind of like you'd started off at Webster's, you were experiencing this like, so were you only training like what, once a week, twice a week type deal?
Oh no, dude. I had a key within 2 months.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I get you. Yeah.
I don't think real obsession.
I got you.
Real obsessive
I got
personality.
you. I got you. So like you were
I can never do drugs. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
I'm not a drinker, or I'll be the drinker.
I get it. 100%. 100%. I'm one of those people that my wife, my parents, my sisters, like they all know. They're like, oh yeah, he takes everything to 11. If he grabs a hold of it, like it becomes a problem. So good thing it's a healthy thing that he's got a hold of right now.
Yeah, let him run.
Yeah, I get it. So like you're in deep. So like how are you getting your instruction?
Well, Jamie was a good grappler.
Okay.
And so, I mean, even at that time, he was probably a decent level purple belt. So he wasn't instructed specifically in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he was a Japanese Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Okay.
He'd been doing martial arts for literally his entire life, and he was probably 35 when I started training. He's 10 years older than me. And so he had a ton to teach me in the beginning, and everybody was beating my tail. I knew nothing, so I could learn from anybody. So it was easy to learn.
So when you made the transit, do you wear the gi in Japanese?
Yeah, we had
jiu-jitsu?
a G. We had a G.
G.
Yeah, we had a G. Yeah, we had the gi on at that time. So
the transition from training like that and the MMA training and whatnot, was that kind of like where did 10th Planet fall into?
Well, I met Eddie when I was a white belt still. I was still in a white belt in karate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
like early on.
Yeah, super early on. Jamie put me on him. He was like, hey, this guy named Eddie Bravo is teaching a seminar. You should go down there and learn some of his stuff. He's in Birmingham. I was like, oh, sweet. Who's Eddie Bravo? I didn't know who it was. But, you know, I was probably a year in the first time I met him, maybe. And, yeah, I just knew it was just fascinating right away.
Yeah, like what was different about Eddie at that point? Like,
well, he was just he was clearly obsessed.
Yeah,
he was just super obviously obsessed with what he was doing, and he was the best that I had been on the floor with at that time, for sure, like not even close.
So at that point, you're as you're moving into the 10th Planet system, were you looking to, are you competing now? Are you
at that time?
At that point,
yeah, I started competing pretty quickly as soon as I found out that you could.
There were competitions.
Yeah, I mean, within a month, I was trying to find like local, because there used to be a lot of local,
right,
like smokers and MMA fights in people's gyms. and grappling tournaments, local judo tournaments. There was a freestyle judo school that would always have like in school tournaments up
What's
here.
freestyle judo?
They don't follow like the international judo rules. Like they allow you to do like takedowns at the legs.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
it's a little more
A
open.
little looser.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they don't follow like the the Olympic rules or whatever necessarily. So they allow you to fight on the floor a little longer. But those guys weren't necessarily like super high level.
Right.
But it was another avenue.
So you were just competing in any type of
Anything martial arts. Like if I would do forms competition for karate, I would do point sparring, just anything that I could get.
How was your competing going?
Pretty good.
So you were finding
well,
success?
the talent pool wasn't really big.
Right.
And you pretty well compete against people at your level, you know? So, like, even when I would go find a Naga, like, I would be like, oh, there's a Naga in Atlanta once a year. It's a 2-day event. I would go over there and be in the beginner division,
Right.
you know? And so they're all beginners. I'd win most, lose some, but nobody was I knew nobody was obsessing like I was. Even that early, I was like, well, I'm going to get out in front of these guys quick.
Yeah.
And I did.
So you found success there, and then, like, I mean, I guess if you're finding success, you start teaching pretty early, or guys like asking you like, hey, how'd you win this weekend?
Because I became the most advanced guy in that setting pretty quickly, you know. So I didn't have to know much to pass most of the people that I was training with.
Right.
In pure ground fighting.
Right.
They had a lot of martial arts left to teach me, but none of them were super advanced ground fighters besides Jamie.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, like, from what I know of you from a distance, I don't think that I really have ever known you in the realms that of competition. Like, I don't know you as a competitor. I know you more as a coach. So, like, as that kind of took form, like, where did you see, I don't even really know what that question is. Is this more of like, where did you see that form of, I mean, just the 2 times that I've been up here to see you teach, you've changed 2 things that I do, like, fundamentally to do the rubber guard. Because, like, I've just recently been introduced to the 10th Planet System. I've recently kind of come into the rubber guard, and, like, I've seen 2 different ways that you get into it, and I'm like, oh, I was like, that makes so much more sense.
It's
and
way
it's
easier that way.
Yeah, and I hear the way that you explain things, and then, like, I hear the guys that come to you and then come back and teach the ways. Like, was that something that you just developed off the cuff, or have you just always been able to teach people stuff like that?
So it's kind of a couple of different things. It's definitely cultivated intentionally that I want to be a good instructor, not just a good one. I want to be a great one.
Right.
You know, and so there's definitely a skill set of teaching that has to be acquired as well. So it's cultivated in that way. But also, the more you teach, the more you're just gonna get better at it. You know, you're gonna have seen common problems, and when your desire is really to help somebody, it's much easier to teach them. Like, rather than to show them how much I know. You know, like, I think most people, when they teach, their intention is they're teaching for themselves, whether it's to draw a paycheck or whether it's to impress everybody with how good they are and how much they know. But that's not really what I'm out for. I already know I'm good. I really couldn't care less if you think I'm good. I'm not here to impress you. You know, I'm here to help you. And because I know that if I can help you and raise your level, then everybody around you is going to have to raise their level. Well, I'm still training, so that means I got to raise my level. So I'm trying to make you as good as I can. So yeah, it's intentional, it's cultivated. But then I have a background in public speaking before I ever got into any of this stuff. You know, I did a lot of public speaking and crafting up curriculum in a different field and stuff. And so,
in what way were you doing stuff like that?
I was a youth minister for 8 years. I went to school to do youth ministry.
I honestly see it.
Yeah.
It honestly, like, so much makes sense now.
Oh yeah, no wonder he's such a dork. And I get it.
No. It's like I grew up in a youth group as a kid. Like, so, like,
I was super into I'm really thankful for it looking back, especially like just, you know, not really the way I do things now necessarily, but
but I see
for the
things
base I learned from it.
Yeah.
You know, even if I don't use them in the same ways now, it's definitely benefited me for sure.
Yeah, so like the transition into jiu-jitsu and like that makes complete sense. But like when you're dealing with the type of situation, so like in gyms that I've been in a lot lately where there's like not a ton of experience, but then you get the guy that like looks at you and you're telling him all this stuff and you're like teaching him jiu-jitsu and you can kind of see it in his eyes that he doesn't believe anything you're saying. And then, you know, you roll up and you roll with him, and I've rolled with you and I've seen how you roll. You're pretty passive. But eventually you got to show somebody. Sometimes there's people like I had a foreman once that would always say there's the three types of people in this world. There's the people that you can tell it's hot. They're not going to go anywhere near it. There's people that will see that it's hot, and they won't go anywhere near it. And there's people that's got to touch it. And my foreman would be like, Stack's the one that's got to touch it. I'm one that's got to touch it.
I got to touch it.
Yeah. So like the like, how do you get through to the, for my personal like journey in like teaching has been like dealing with those guys. Like, how do you teach that guy without like hurting him?
Well, you can't unless your skill set's capable of it. So it used to be. So I'll give you an analogy as well. So my friend Charles, he's a judge here in town. We grew up together. But he said when he was going through, he was telling me one time he was going through law school. He said this is like they don't teach this officially. It's kind of like an anecdote that you learn in law school. If you don't have the law, if you don't have the facts, pound the law. If you don't have the law, pound the table. So if I don't have the technical prowess to be able to manipulate you easily, then I'm going to have to use some other way to manipulate you if I need to win. So like in law, look, the facts are not on my side. The law is not on my side. Let's just start yelling. And let's see if we can get louder than the other guy and win the argument. And that's what sparring usually turns into amongst lower ranks or amongst somebody who feels like they have something to prove to the other person. And if they're not able to technically and easily manipulate the situation into their favor, then they're left with, and they still need to, I can't do it technically, but I still need it to be done. Well, then I'm going to have to manhandle you. That's the only thing I got left, right? So in the beginning, or for the first however many years, many years, if I needed to impress upon someone that I was the guy in charge, you know, you have to go hard.
Sometimes
you just got to go hard.
Yeah.
But now I don't have to go hard. I can still do it to you.
Yeah.
You can go hard. Go as hard as you want to.
Yeah.
It's like you and I have rolled. Yeah. Like, you go hard. Go ahead.
Yeah, the first time we rolled was probably one of the more frustrating rolls I've had in a while.
Tell me.
It's one of the things that I've noticed, and I'll be honest, and I'm sure Steven, I'm not sure, but if Steven is listening to this, like, I know that, like, the first time I was under Steven, I kind of was, like, a little bit flabbergasted and was like, I know I'm doing jiu-jitsu, and I know I'm doing it right, but it's not working. And, like, my ego was in the back going, he's big. And then he kept doing it to me. And honestly, when I came up here with him that first time and I rolled with you that first time, I was like, okay, that felt very similar. And I can't be like, well, he's 3 times bigger than me. Like,
he's smaller than me. How can this be real?
It was like, but I feel the same way. And correct me if I'm wrong, one of the biggest things that I've noticed that y'all are doing is you let me go all the way through my move, and then you mess up like 2% of it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I say that all. I got peanuts in my mouth.
Oh,
so
it's fine.
I'm starving after practice. One of the things I tell people all the time, like defensively, think this way. If I know that there's 5, we'll make it up. There's 5 steps to the arm bar, and you've got 4 of them. And I feel you reach for number 5. While you're reaching for number 5, I'll sneak over here and steal number 3 back. You understand?
Yeah.
And then, oh, shoot, I dropped number 3, and you reach over to pick up number 3. It's like trying to carry a sack full of groceries to the car.
That's exactly.
When the sack is kind of falling apart. Like, oh, shoot, I got to reach and I dropped the beans. Well, then you didn't get the groceries to the car.
That's exactly it. Because now you got to go back and get the beans.
Yeah.
Or maybe the beans broke.
Or the beans start dropping and you reach out and catch them, and now your Mountain Dew falls out of the other side, you know?
Yeah. That's about what it feels like to roll with you. That's probably the most accurate way that I think that could describe it. And I've been trying to describe for like a couple weeks to people what it was like.
When I'm rolling, it's perfectly fine for you to go as hard and as fast as you can. I want you to. Please do.
Yeah.
You're in a fight, but I'm not in a fight. I'm not gonna go hard, and I'm still gonna win. And if it turns into a situation like, oh shoot, Isaac's really good at jiu-jitsu. If we're in training and if I feel that I have to quote unquote turn it up to get what I need out of you, I would rather take that L. Because if I encounter here's my technique, and then here's where I'm trying to go, and there's a gap between those two things. Here's my technique, and the finish of the technique, I can't get there technically. How do I choose to close the gap? And if I'm in training and my intention is to get better at jiu-jitsu, and I close that technical gap with an attribute like strength or speed or flexibility, then I missed an opportunity to learn how to close it technically. And even if I win, I took an L in my overall growth right there. And so I refuse in training to close the gap with anything else. And you stack that up over the course of 15 years almost. Of course, I haven't been doing that for 15 years.
Right.
But, you stack that up over the course of years and years and as many mat hours as I can squeeze in, and you begin to feel that everybody feels the same after a while. Everybody makes the same exact mistakes. They all push. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I've made the turn in. I'm gonna say this, and I'm sure that any black belt is sitting there laughing as I say this. But like, I feel like I made a turn in the fact that it feels like I'm gonna get the number wrong, but there's only like 4 or 5 moves overall.
No,
there's
I
not
totally
like
understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but they're just different positions and concepts, but they're all the same move.
Yeah, everything's the same.
Yeah, like it's almost like there's 2 moves is kind of what it feels like to me.
I tell people all the time, and I initially kind of was exposed to this idea by Daniel O'Brien, who's a fantastic black belt and friend of mine. But he said there's really only a couple of principles. And I was trying to distill. I was like actively at this time when I started training with Daniel, I was actively trying to distill like maybe there's only 10 or maybe 15 principles in jiu-jitsu. And I was trying to explain this to Daniel, and he was like, well, I agree with what you're saying, but I think there's only 3. There's balance, weight distribution, and leverage. Yeah. And I believe that's probably true. And I've found in my practice, all right, so you and I are rolling, and I run into that technical gap. I run into this issue. If I can take better dominance over my balance or your balance, my weight distribution or your weight distribution, my leverage or your leverage, if I can gain an extra degree of dominance in any of those 6 avenues, then the technique will improve in direct correlation with how much my dominance of that particular principle improved.
That made my brain hurt.
Well, I don't know why. I'm from Lawrence County, Alabama.
That was good. That's so. I mean, if you're talking about like technique and rolling technical, then that opens up training abilities for you to be able to train. Like you said, I mean, it's a game of hours, right?
Yeah.
So
and I no longer, once I really like actually absorb that philosophically and understand it, I lose the need to know all the moves, to know the counter to the counter to the counter. Because the moves create them. So like what Bruce Lee would say, when the time comes to throw the punch, I don't throw the punch. The punch throws itself. And because of that, I can't miss. To make sense?
Yeah,
I stick to you, and then you make a movement that creates an opening, and I just fall into the opening. This is the theory, at least. Obviously, I'm not the preeminent black belt in the world, so this is all what I'm striving to be and what I want my jiu-jitsu to be ultimately. But I do feel like I am on that path for sure.
Is that what you try to embark in students, or do you is it more of them developing their own version of that?
Yeah, just let them do whatever they want. Like, not everybody's here for the same reasons I'm here for. Like, some people are just here because, like, some people want to be the world champion. Some people want to be an MMA fighter. Some people just need to get away from their wife because they yell at them all the time. Some people just need a break from work. Some people don't do anything physical, so just any kind of physical movement just makes them happy. Some people wanted to learn because they saw it on a UFC video game and they thought that was cool. Like, whatever. There's a lot of different reasons and a lot of different goals. And so I don't try to push my goals on them. I just let jiu-jitsu be what you need it to be. Some people just need a tribe, dude, where they can fit in and not get made fun of. Well, we can offer that in a positive atmosphere where I can actually show you a valuable skill that will build your confidence, which changes everything.
Yeah, like that's where. So where did 10th Planet Decatur kind of like manifest? Like what did it was it out of necessity?
Well, just once I met
somewhere to train.
Yeah, sort of. Just once I met Eddie, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my black belt from this dude.
Yeah,
like that's the dude I want to learn from. And so, man, I just stalked him all over the country. I would fly out to LA and stay for a while, and I'd fly him out here for as long as I could convince him to stay. I flew Jean-Jacques out here. I flew all kinds of different instructors out here, just try to get him a seminar and cover as much of the expenses as I could, and then I would just eat the rest. And if Eddie was within a 10-hour drive, I was going to make it. So I just did that for 10 years, and I competed, and I basically just, if Eddie said this is a good idea to make your jiu-jitsu better, then I said yes, sir, and I just did it. Whether I wanted to or not, I would just do it. Brandon, you need to be in this weight class. Okay. Brandon, you need to compete at this tournament. Okay. Brandon, you need to compete a couple more times this year so I can see some pride. Okay. And yeah, I just went after it.
Do you believe competition is something that, like, I know that we all know that it benefits. Like, we all know the benefit of competition. But do you think, like, it's a necessity?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I think you can develop into a black belt and never have competed, yes.
Okay.
But I think there are things you learn from competition that you can only learn from competition.
Okay.
I don't think that you need those things to be a black belt necessarily.
What would be an example of one?
Okay, I'll tell you what. I have 4 things that you have to learn from competition. You should compete until you've had these 4 experiences.
Until you've experienced them.
Once you've had these 4 experiences, then you can take it or leave it. It's up to you. Just do you enjoy it at that point? The first experience is I want my students to prepare as well as they can and go out there and lose. You need to know what that feels like.
Do everything you could have.
To have given your true best, your real best, man. You cut weight, you prepare, you did everything the right way. Camp went well, and you go out there and just crap the bed. You need to know what that pain feels like. You need to have prepared your best and go out there and know what it feels like to win in that situation. Well, this is what hard work does for a man. This is what determination and putting your nose to the grindstone can do for me. Okay, I learned that lesson. You need to not prepare your best, not do your best work one time, and then go out there and still win. So that you can know, you know what, I am capable. I can do this. I could roll up off the couch and do some things, you know. And then you need to not do your best work, not do your best preparation, and go out and feel that kind of pain when you lose, knowing that you didn't do what you needed to do. You need to know what that feels like too. Once you've had those 4 experiences, you've learned what you needed to learn from competition.
That makes sense.
This is just my personal belief.
I get it. Have you experienced all?
Oh yeah,
all
I probably had those
a couple times
I had
through.
those within the first year. But yeah, I mean, like, I just think it's really important to encounter failure and success.
What was the one that you didn't prepare for?
Oh, I've had a bunch that I didn't prepare for.
That you just jumped in.
What's
What's one that comes to mind?
The first one that I think of was how I learned about cardio, how I learned how important cardio was. I was a white belt, and I really didn't know anything, but I was winning matches because I had tricky moves, right? I had some tricky rubber guard and tricky lockdown, and back then nobody knew about that much about that side. I was already doing foot locks, and so at Naga those were legal, and I was like,
You're throwing little things out there people hadn't even seen.
So I had a bunch of tricky stuff, and I was winning quite a bit. I wasn't like, I mean, at white belt you're not blowing anybody away, right? But I was winning quite a bit. But then I got out, and I tried to do an absolute division over in Atlanta one time.
Right.
And I won my bracket earlier, and I was in the absolute, and I got through the first match, and then I got into the second match, and I was doing an electric chair, but I was flat on my back, and I just didn't know how to do it right. And I couldn't get the guy turned over, and I couldn't stretch him out, and he was just basically sitting on top of me in the splits, and I'm just burning all of my energy, just trying everything I can to budge this fat son of a gun, and I can't get him to move. And bro, I tapped from the bottom of a submission that I was applying because I was so exhausted. And that's how I learned about cardio. Well, that's how I learned the importance that, you can never be in a position where you're so tired that you can't do your thing. So you either have to have unlimited cardio or you have to be efficient with your thing. And I didn't know that.
But you had MMA experience too, right?
No. I never fought in the cage. We would do like smoker. I mean,
okay.
We would do a lot of stuff like that where you just go to somebody's school and like 5 guys would fight a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
We would do stuff like that, but that all happened before I really knew anything. I was just, dude.
Just diving in.
Yeah, I was just in it. Let's go.
I was dumb. I was given a helmet that they told me was revolutionary. And they said, you know what's revolutionary about it? It's concussion proof. I was like, gotcha.
Well, life's full of choices.
They're not.
Yeah, short story.
Short story. They're
I drool
not.
a lot.
Yeah. But so getting beat up and being tired is probably one of the worst possible feelings out there.
Yeah.
Like having someone beat you and then not having the energy to do anything about it.
And you have to just quit.
Yeah.
Even if you stick your arm up for them to armbar you, you quit.
Oh. Or turn away for the neck.
Yeah,
do the neck turn.
Yeah, you got to sleep with that. You got to sleep with that knowing you quit.
You turned. You know you wanted out. Which, I mean...
Hey, respect. I get it. I've wanted out a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But you just got to admit that to yourself, that's how you lost, because you gave it up.
Yeah.
You need to know that feeling.
That's one of those of I'm sitting here actually trying to think of if I have one that I just like gave out. I gave out before, and I've been tired. I know I gave an armbar up one time in a tournament early on, but I don't think in any of my MMA I've either been knocked out cold or lost some BS decision. Like I'm one or the other. Like it's either a knockdown drag out and then I lose to the hometown guy, or hometown guy like makes me, have a seizure.
John Matula.
But I spent a lot of my time being the tough guy. I'm trying to learn. I've spent the last, which with an injury last year, like that put me out most of the year. I've had to learn to not be the tough guy, and not had to. Like I've kind of like looked around and been like, being the tough guy may not be the best.
It's not the path for longevity for sure.
Oh, no, it is not.
I learned that the hard way too.
Yeah.
So I think we all did.
So as you were becoming down this, you were coming down this, and you were becoming the coach and going that route. You started creating kind of what it is here, because like it's one thing to be a good coach, and it's one thing to like walk into where there's already existing programs and things like that. But like you created something that's it's interesting to me. Every time I've been here, there's guys that drive in from pretty far out to come train with you.
Yeah, it's kind of wild, right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm from nowhere, Alabama. I'm kind of having to, like, bounce out in my places to go find places to train. Like, Did you think that was going to happen?
At some point, I set it as a goal for it to happen. Like that when people think about doing a jiu-jitsu training trip, like, oh, I'm going to go to San Diego or I'm going to go to New York City, that the guy you're telling that to goes, hey, listen, just hear me out here. You're going to think I'm crazy, but Decatur, Alabama. Like, what? Decatur, Alabama? Yeah, there's nothing there. You'll only train, but you will love training there.
Yeah.
And so I set out to make that a goal. Yeah, I would like it if one day, we had that this was the Mecca.
Yeah.
And I think that's within grasp, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, you come here. Why do you come here?
Yeah, because there's jiu-jitsu here. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's jiu-jitsu everywhere. Why do you come here?
That is a good question because there is, but I've gone other places and I went other places because I was told other places was where I had to go. Mm-hmm. I've started coming up here. I got introduced to the 10th Planet system and kind of like in a different way. Yeah. I'd always kind of seen it from a distance and it always like I knew it was different. I mean, like one of my first second tournament maybe, my coach Andy Roberts had me out there and I got thrown in. The guy started working a high guard and I got put in kind of I ended up getting caught in a double arm bar. And the last thing I heard was Andy yelling, don't posture, and dude double arm bar me. And I was like, oh, okay. So like that was my first introduction to the 10th Planet. And then like as I kind of came in, my middle sister went with me to Nationals in Vegas. And while we were out there, we visited 10th Planet Vegas.
Casey Hallstead.
Yeah. Bro, it was shoulder to shoulder. Like, and it was before they moved to whatever. I haven't been out there to their new spot, but it was like, what they call it? They called it the Swamp. Yeah, bro, I saw why. You couldn't stand up. There was no stand-up game. It was all bottom. It was all how good your guard. But apparently on that trip, that's what like made my sister fall in love with jiu-jitsu. She'd been watching me do MMA for like 7 years. She was like never had any interest or whatever, but she saw like that room. And I realized that, like, that was the way that I like to train. Yeah. And so, like, that's what I started seeking out was finding guys that trained like that. And then just roundabout ways that I've ended up following all the way over here and with Steven. And the whole reason that I'm here and the whole reason that I've even met you was your current project, the PGF, which I had seen it in passing on the season 1. I'd, like, watched it. Like, I knew the Elkins brothers. I knew, so I paid attention. But, bro, like, every time I try to explain to people, this is, like, this is probably the closest thing to that I've thought of how it can mirror the way that we train as a culture in jiu-jitsu. So how did that come about? That was really loaded. Sorry.
How did what come about
the PGF? Like how did you go from being this coach? You're creating this mecca. You're creating this. Was it to attract more to that? Were you trying to create something for competitors, or is this for the hobbyists? Like what were you trying to create when you came in creating? Is it
so? The initial
grappling?
idea was that I wanted to have a format that mimics the every weekend ebb and flow of a wrestling season.
Okay.
Because wrestling, you get, or any sport like that you play in school, you get a season where you're like, we practice during the week and we compete on Saturday, or our basketball games are Tuesdays and Thursday nights and we practice all week. And so you're getting way more reps on getting ready to compete, and it normalizes competition. You don't get sick, nervous by the 10th basketball game of the season. You know what I mean? Like you just, all right, we're into the flow. I'm a little nervous. I got the butterflies, but we get out here and we hit the warm-ups, we hit the layup drills. And by the time tip-off happens and we're ready to go, you know? And I wanted to create a way that my competitors at my gym could normalize competition for themselves and start to actually get good at the skill of competing, not just the skill of jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Like there's the skill of teaching jiu-jitsu, there's the skill of jiu-jitsu itself, and then there's the skill of competing in jiu-jitsu like those are three different skills.
Go time is a different.
Right. Just the act of competing.
Right.
Just the idea of competing paralyzes some people. Right. And if you want to get past that, the only way to do it is to do it more.
Mm-hmm.
And to learn, this is my body telling me that I'm ready for battle. I'm supposed to have this reaction. When I get pumped with adrenaline, that's my body telling me that, okay, I'm prepared for what you're about to put me through. And I had to learn to make friends with that feeling, not an enemy, and avoid that feeling, like run to that feeling. And once you can do that, anyway, that was the initial idea. And then I've wanted to make like a spectator-friendly jiu-jitsu tournament, and I've tried a couple of different iterations of that. But what I think, I don't know if I realized it or just the idea ultimately was I need to form something that builds a story over time. So like if you're an Alabama football fan, you're not an Alabama football fan on Saturdays.
Right.
Like if you're claiming to be an Alabama fan and you just watch the game on Saturdays, you're laughed out of a room of real Alabama fans. They've been following this freshman right here. They've been following him for 5 years since he was in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're a fan all week and all season, and all off season. You're a fan because there's a storyline. There are storylines being developed. But in a tournament, like a one-night tournament, you get the story developed that night, or a couple of the guys coming in.
The top tier guys, yeah.
But really, you just have that one night. It's like watching a movie. Hey, that's great. But you can draw out, like Game of Thrones in a 3-hour movie is not that great. But Game of Thrones drawn out over the course of 6 or whatever it was, 7 seasons creates manic fans. And so that was, how can I normalize competition for my people? And how can I develop something that has actual sports characteristics to it so that people can follow for a week?
What do you think was lacking for fans in jiu-jitsu competitions?
Well, what's your favorite part of the NCAA basketball tournament? Is it seeing the number 1 seeds meet in the Final Four?
Oh, no, it's the Cinderella story.
If that happens, you're super mad about the way it went down. You want to see the 12 beat the 5.
Right.
Well, the PGF has 12s. There's people getting dunked on in the PGF. But we also got some 1 seeds in there. You know what I'm saying? So it gives the average person something to pull for. You know what I mean? Like, that guy's a purple belt? That guy's a blue belt? Okay, let's go, boss.
Yeah.
You're like me.
Yeah.
And, every now and then, both seasons.
Every now and then. There were people in this season that I definitely did not see the reaction to, like some people can pull competition out of nowhere. Like you'll see a guy that you're like, oh, I have seen it go both ways too. Like I've seen it go ways, especially like in MMA. You'll see a guy that you're like, oh, he's gonna be a monster, and he just crumples,
clams up
the moment that he gets out there. But like this was one that you see people come out and just put the do you think that I like jiu-jitsu on the realm of this type of competition because you can put it on, they're not going in there and getting their head smashed in. Mm-hmm. So like you'll get a guy that'll come in and compete and he'll die on a shield.
Yeah.
I think that's what made it exciting, or will make it exciting.
There's a lot of cool things that make it exciting. For the fans, I think the fantasy league is one of the huge.
How does that work?
So you get 7 players. So there's
do I have to buy in?
No, no buy-in. It's free. It's totally free. Just go to pgfhome.com and sign up, and then whoever wins the season, whichever fan wins the season, I'm going to give them $1,000 cash. No catch, no strings attached.
Down.
Just I want you to play the fantasy.
That's cool. So like you pick your player and if they score that night,
Yeah, so if
you
they score 3 points, then you got 3 points. If
Okay.
they got 6 because they got a choke, then you got 6. If they got 2 chokes that night and one of them was an extra point, now you got 13, and then they got a team point, you got scored 14 points. If you picked that guy on your team, you're going to be very happy.
I think were team points weren't in the first season. Were
No,
they?
that was a new thing this year.
What do you think about that?
There were. I'll do it again. We'll do team points again. I'll probably shift exactly how I did it. I'll revamp a little bit of the way that it went.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the idea is right. But
Yeah.
maybe the execution has to be tighter.
I got it. Yeah, I get it. I liked how, and I think I said this earlier when we were starting to talk about it, was that like I liked how it felt. It felt like an open mat, because like I guess we haven't described the fact that this happened over the course of 6 days. Is that right?
Yeah, 6
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, that was an interesting way to watch it play out, because it was like watching an open mat play out over the course of a week. So like, and by open mat is like, you know, like when you're like side eyeing the big guy, you're like, well, I've got the big guy, but the black belt hasn't called me out yet. So I'm gonna hold something back, and I'm gonna make it through it with the big guy, and then I'll get with the black belt, and then you do your plan, and then either the black belt never calls you out because he doesn't even realize you're there, or he calls you over there and you get tapped so fast it doesn't even matter. You're just getting tapped over and over and over and over again, and like you actually saw that play out in a competition. You don't see that play out in IBJJF where you have a guy getting called, over the loudspeaker. He's either in the bathroom or
those
didn't show
those
up,
are not made for the competitors
or the fans.
They're zero fans in mind.
My wife has been to 2 jiu-jitsu tournaments. She doesn't like going to them.
No, dude, nobody likes going to them.
They're boring.
Nobody likes going. The coaches don't like going. The competitors don't like going. There are no fans. The only people there is your mom and maybe your girlfriend, and if you're dumb enough to bring one of your buddies that doesn't train, then he's out there.
He's not your
ready
friend.
to kill himself.
He's not your friend after about an hour.
Yeah, not especially after you go out there and blue belt all over somebody. You know what I mean?
If you're lucky,
this is what
and
you've
get
been
blue belt.
training for 3 years. You're horrible.
Yeah, that's when do blue belts figure out their? Is it the timing that they find, and then all of a sudden they feel like they don't suck?
Well, blue belts do suck.
Yeah,
That's
true.
Blue belts are easier to beat than white belts.
That's true, because they think they know.
Well, they know what to do. They just still suck at it. And so they're predictable. They'll do the thing they're supposed to do. They just won't do it right.
That's funny.
A white belt, I don't know what a white belt's about to do.
Yeah.
Good Lord, this guy could be a total spaz.
So with the competition and how it played out, it's going to play out over, 8 weeks?
Yeah, 8 weeks.
8 weeks. And then we're, which I'm filming for our shameless plug, The Dream Show. That'll be playing on Saturdays afterwards.
Right after.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
Break down what went down.
The breakdown of the back. And honestly, there wasn't... I've heard a couple times on some shows that you've been on that like guys ask if like
They're
was
looking for drama
and shenanigans, and like, bro, jiu-jitsu people are just the most laid back people, man.
And I tried to really set a tone for everybody to enjoy themselves while they were here too, and I feel like that was a big part of it. Just I keep a certain atmosphere, and I think it stems from the top,
Yeah. I think that carried over into the competition. I think it seems like that you have that thought process of like leading from the front and doing
that's
those
the way I
type
do
things.
it. I don't know any other way to do it.
Yeah. So like everybody just kind of like falls in behind you, and it seems to work out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think for whatever degree of success I've had, if you're around me for very long, you can see that I just got it by doing the thing, like I only, whatever I do have, I got off of giving my best work
Just
and treating
doing
people and just treating people well, just trying to consider other people before myself. You know, I don't always succeed at that, but that's what I'm striving for. And I think that energy comes across, and I think that it carried over into the PGF for both seasons so far.
I think so. I think that the what I've seen so far too has been really interesting. I'm interested to see how the fans respond. Do you have any like major? I mean, I guess without giving anything away, do you have any major changes that you feel like you're gonna make for season 3?
I may do 4 teams of 4.
Ooh.
Where you know, I was thinking about maybe doing 4 10th Planet guys, 4 Atos guys, 4 DDS guys, but everybody still plays everybody, right?
Right. So you
I was thinking, or if maybe it wouldn't be everybody plays everybody. Maybe it would be just the top 2 from each of those squads makes the playoff. You know, something like that. But I don't know. I don't have anything set in stone. But yeah, I'm thinking about how to do the team thing and just give it another element of
a little bit of dynamic.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly how that'll go, but that's one of the ideas I've got right now.
So does it does the PGF continue to be like a thing that comes out of here and is local, or do you see that becoming?
Probably the next one is still done here. But no, I see it being a thing where all right, the PGF's coming to San Antonio. We're going to be there for a week.
Right.
And I'm looking for 16 guys that can come and be in San Antonio for a week, and we're going to hole up in this hotel or whatever conference room and just do the dang thing. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking for eventually. Maybe we do it in Thailand. I don't know. I can see traveling with it and making like a big circus out of it.
That's kind of like what I was wondering if that was kind of what you see it happening.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. Just take the same format and be like, yo, now we're in California, and like maybe we even have some of the same homies from Alabama and Florida and stuff in it
rolling. But
we also got the California guys local now.
Yeah. So then you roll into town.
Yeah, we roll into New York City, and you know, is much more likely to pull some of the DDS and Marcelo guys like that.
Right. So
I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I try not to have too many expectations. I just want to be content and do my best work. And I know that if I'll just do it in a way where it's what I want. Like, oh, I enjoy doing this. If I enjoy it, I'll show up and I'll work as hard as I can every day. But the minute that it starts to be like, oh, this is kind of grinding on me, my attention will turn from it, you know, just like any of us. And I won't give it my number one effort anymore if it's not full passion. But I know that if it's what I want to do and it's the way that I want it, I'll go full steam ahead. And so just my general theory for anything that I do is I only do what I want to do. I'm only going to do what I want to do because I know if I want to do it, I'll push harder than anybody can push. Whereas if I'm grinding through something, you know, I'll get it done. I'll do the work. I'll get it done, but it won't be a success like it could have been. Even if it was a crazy idea. If I'm passionate about it, I'll put my nose to the grindstone and nobody can keep up. And then you can copy it. Just copy it. I know you can't do what I do. You don't love it like I do.
Yeah. That's been the one that I've seen of that people get the success out of things like this. It's like the content game. Most of the people that I've worked with don't realize the amount of time that you have to take. That it's non-rewarding. It's it's literally just doing the thing. And that's what, like, the first time I got a taste of it was when, and I never really wanted to be in front of the camera, but, like, I was trying to figure out how to do all this stuff, and, like, I had a shitty, like, work situation, didn't want to do that anymore, and, like, finished my degree while I was doing that, and then started looking for jobs, and when I figured out that, like, I can just do this that I would go tell somebody how to do on my own, I started a vlog to try figure out how to do all that. And when I saw the amount of time it took, like I turned to trying to do that for like corporate clients, and the most frustrating thing ever is that they all, like, I've gone through so many of them that like they want the response in like 3 months, and you're like,
It's not the way it works.
you got to spend a year doing this. Like, it's just content, just every day going out, and you're the first person I've probably come across in the real world, other than that I've met through that stuff. So like, I've gone to the conferences and like met Gary V and like all those people and done this stuff. And the thing that I like about those things is all the stuff that we're talking about here. The stuff I hate about those things are the fans. And so when you come to this, like, I've met you and you're doing the thing. So PGF, I think, is a culmination of you just like doing the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. So I'm gonna let you get home.
Okay.
Since you've trained and this has been a long night, but where do you want to send people? I know there's the pgfhome.com.
Yeah, PGF Home on Instagram is another good one. And then all of my stuff is brandonmc.ninja. If you're interested in, if you're just interested in picking up some free information from me, go to my Instagram. Tons of free stuff every day. YouTube, same thing. Tons of free stuff every day. The PGF will be free, totally free on my YouTube. Starts March 5th, 7 p.m. Make sure you enter that fantasy league. That's the big part that I want to make sure that everybody understands. You'll enjoy it way more if you enter the fantasy. And it's free to enter. There's no catch. There's no strings attached. I don't even get your email address. I'm just going to give $1,000 to the person that wins.
That says a lot these days.
Yeah, there's
there's
nothing on the other side.
You're not getting anybody's metadata.
No, there's nothing on the other side. There's just, I want you to watch and participate. And if you do it well, I'll give you $1,000 out of my own pocket.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's cool, right? I think it's cool. We'll see.
pgfhome.com, right?
Yep.
Cool. Anything else?
I
Any
love
parting words of wisdom?
Nope.
Nope. Cool.
It's like a ride in an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are. The ride goes up and down and around.
Thank you to everybody who listened to the podcast. And if you're not already following, follow me on Instagram at the Daily Stack at the _daily_stack. Everywhere else, it's just the Daily Stack. And go over to Stephen Aiken's YouTube channel and follow so that you can see the behind the scenes that he and I did where he went to the PGF and competed. We're doing the behind the scenes, so PGF will air on Friday nights, and then we will be airing our show on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m., and then we'll be live on that same YouTube channel every Saturday at 10 a.m., at least for the next 8 weeks. So go check that out and give him a follow and a subscribe. And thanks for sticking around. Got a couple more fun shows planned for this, and look forward to seeing you guys again.
Change it anytime we want. It's only no effort, no work, no job, no savings of money, a choice right now between fear and love. The eyes of fear want you to